Hello and welcome back to Mindful Sojourn. Welcome back. If this is your first time joining me, thank you for stopping by. And if you've been here before, I just want to take a moment to apologize for this long absence. I think it's been over 2 months since my last video, and this hiatus was not planned, it was not announced, and so for that I am terribly sorry. We had, especially in November and December, we had a couple rounds of illness, some kind of flu. I had some gut issues come up, which are still not resolved. And then on top of all of that, my toddler was going through a sleep regression. And when I was posting videos regularly on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I would do my recording and video editing when he napped. And of course, if you've ever had a toddler go through a sleep regression, you know that they don't always nap. And then when he would nap, I had so many other things to catch up on, or I just had no energy. So it's been a rough couple of months. And on top of that, I went to a craft fair in November and December to try to sell some of the junk journals that I finished. And I was not successful. I sold one journal after the first craft fair. I've been telling myself that not to be too discouraged because they were very small craft fairs. We had little to no traffic. So I know that played a big role in that. But I still have several of them listed on Etsy, and those have not moved either. And so I just kind of got a little discouraged, and I took a step back from what I was doing and just to kind of reevaluate things. And I realized I had gotten away from the whole reason I got into junk journaling in the first place, and that was because I wanted to junk journal. And then after I got into it, it became, let me make these to sell. So this last month, it's now toward the end of January. For this last month, I have been journaling for myself. I've been trying to create for myself and not just to sell. So what I'm going to do today is show you my journal that I've been working in. I want to show you this first. This is the very first ever composition notebook that I altered. I did this when I was a teenager, and I just collaged over the front the times. This was from the London Times, in a copy I picked up on my first trip to London, as well as this map of the underground, and then just some random stationery pieces. And so I collaged over this and originally planned on it being like a journal, and I did use it as a journal for a while when I was a teenager. And then a decade later, when I was reading through it, I was just like, have you ever looked at an old diary or an old journal and you just like do the face palm and or what do you call that, like forehead, hand to the forehead, and you're like, oh, you just kind of cringe. So I ended up tearing out a lot of the pages, and then I just ended up recently using this as kind of a scratch paper, that sort of thing, just a random notebook. But I wanted to show you that because this was my first ever altered composition notebook. This is the one that I made this month. So I did record a video of me making this, but it wasn't a cohesive video. I think I recorded it over the course of a couple days, and it ended up being like in total like over an hour long, and it would have required a lot of editing, which I ended up deciding to scrap because I didn't want to do the editing. So I'm just going to tell you how I made this. So I didn't do anything to the spine here. The cover here is scrapbook paper, and I saved the scraps in case I wanted to use them throughout the journal as I go. So I covered the front and the back with the scrapbook paper. And then this piece here at the center is a little collaged postcard that was made for me by Kara DJ. I will link her channel or channels below, but I follow her on Instagram. She has two different channels. One is Into a Larger World. The other is, I think, Art by Kara. I will definitely link those below, but she does art like this, collage art that is more generic and themed, but she also does a lot of Star Wars art, which I was buying. I bought a lot of her pieces a while back, and she just included this in one of my orders as a freebie because she's amazing. And so it had been sitting on one of my bookshelves for a while, and I decided to use it as the cover for this journal, and I thought it worked perfectly. And then I'll explain what this is in a second. I don't normally do dangly things on my journals because they usually annoy me, but because this bead is kind of bulky, I didn't want to put it actually in the journal. So I have a pocket here. I haven't used it for anything, but it's there if I need it. And then this first page, I just used some of this scrapbook paper and decided to just have like a little intro, like my intentions for this journal and what I want to do with it. I forgot that I had some things here that I needed to cover up, but this is my first spread just for the month. And I just realized I forgot to mention that I'm using this as a planner. So it's not just a junk journal, but it is a planner. So that first page is the monthly spread. And then I have a weekly spread here for the week ahead. And I didn't start it on Monday because the first day of the week, or the first day of the month, was on a Wednesday. So I just did the first week, even though it was not starting on Monday. But you can see here, it's just a basic, basic rows for like a basic row layout for the weekly view. And then here, this is my journal page from January 1st. And I decided to include some of the prizes from the holiday crackers that we used at New Year's Eve. So if you're not familiar with a holiday cracker, they're very popular primarily in Europe, and they originated in London in, I think, the 1850s. But it's basically a thin cardboard case, and it looks like a piece of candy where there's a center piece that's like a cylinder and then scrunched edges. And the tradition is that you have two people pull on the ends, and whichever person ends up with the cylinder in the middle, they get the prizes. But the way we did it on New Year's Eve, everybody got something. And so, but not everybody wanted to keep the prizes. So I snatched those and saved them for the scrapbook. And now all of the holiday crackers usually come with a paper hat or a crown. It looks like a crown. And I actually still have one of these from one of my trips to London in 2012 when I was there for New Year's Eve. It was New Year's Eve 2012 going into 2013. But I saved a couple of the hats to include here. And then the holiday crackers usually come with some kind of little like riddle or jokes on a piece of paper. And then this was one of the prizes that was included was like a little miniature ring toss, which was too bulky to include in here, but I saved the little label from it. This was also one of the prizes, a puzzle, and so I just backed it onto a scrap from a greeting card, and then I included some pictures. And this was also one of the prizes, so that's why I wanted to include it here. So that's my first spread, and my son's awake now, so I gotta go. But I'll be back to finish this flip through. This was January 2nd. We recovered on, even though this was primarily about New Year's Eve, I did this spread on New Year's Day, but we spent New Year's Day recovering from the long night. I didn't do any drinking, but it was a very long night, so I felt like I was hungover just because I was so tired. And then on the 2nd, we went to a couple museums and just had some fun. And then these are just some pictures from La Jolla. Now, I haven't done daily writing like I would eventually like to get to. But at a minimum, I have said that I would like to write down the daily stoic quotes. The Daily Stoic is a book that I have been reading for a few years now, and it's a stoic quote for every day of the year. And I have always been one to believe that when you write something down, it reinforces your memory of it. And so even if I don't journal or collage or do any art, I at least want to write these quotes down. So you can kind of see how my month has gone. I haven't taken a lot of time for doing any art journaling, but at a minimum, I have logged the stoic quotes every day. And then here is another weekly spread. I think I skipped a week or two because my first weekly spread was the 1st through the 7th, and then this one starts on the 20th. So I missed a couple weeks, but I wanted to pick up here again because this was a big week. My son and I went to Disneyland with my grandmother, my aunt, and some cousins. And then this was my checklist for Disney. I had a couple more stoic quotes here to catch up on. And then this is my Disney spread. I guess I'm just going to make my kid wait. He's not crying. He's just happy rolling around in his crib. So I'm going to try to finish this flip through. So this is from my shopping bag at Disneyland. I kind of fussy cut out the castle from the bag. It's glued down on this side, and then I just added a line from the song from Pinocchio. Now this side flips over, and I just wrote about some of the rides we went on. I included a couple pictures, and I just did some mark making. I tried to make it look like Mickey ears. And then more pictures on the next page. I did this kind of as a waterfall to try to fit in the most amount of pictures. So I love Captain Jack Sparrow. I'm a big Pirates fan, and so yeah. He was one of the few characters that we saw, and the only character or cast member that we got a picture with. Now these are tags from the outfit that I bought for my son a couple days before the trip, because I realized he had grown out of his any Disney related stuff that he had. So I had a gift card to TJ Maxx, and I used it to get him an outfit, and it was super cute. So I decided to save the tags and use them as tags in my journal. So I just put scrapbook paper over the back, and I loved this this print. It just reminded me, it was just giving me Dapper Dan vibes. So I thought it was perfect. I haven't added like any string or anything, but that's okay. And then these are some of the receipts that I saved from some of the souvenirs that we got. And I think that is it. I was going to do my next weekly spread, and this is also just scrapbook paper that I used as pockets. Yep, and then I was going to do my next weekly spread. Let me just check on the kiddo. Yeah, he's not crying, so he's awake, but I am gonna really quickly show you how I make my week ahead, like week at a glance view for the journal. My journal planner, I should say. And if he starts fussing, I'm gonna have to go. But anyways, I got this idea from a couple different YouTube junk journalers, one of which is Katie Lehman. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, but I will link her channel below because she has a lot of, I love her videos, and I like watching creators whose voices I find pleasant, and she is one of them. She just, to me, has a very pleasant voice to listen to, and I like her style, so I have watched a lot of her videos. So I got this idea from her and Thrifty Day. They got the ideas from other people, so this is definitely not a new concept. I always say there's nothing new under the sun. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm just separating this page. I'm separating the lines into sets of 3. And I'm gonna do 7 rows for 7 days. So even though this was not my first altered journal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah. Even though this was not my first altered journal, it is my first time using it as a planner. And the reason I decided to do this, because when I first got into junk journaling, I think I've mentioned before that I had thought about getting back into scrapbooking, and then I went down a junk journal rabbit hole and decided to get into junk journaling instead of getting into scrapbooking. But I quickly decided to try to sell them, and I wasn't making any for myself. And so I wanted to do something that was just for me, not something to sell. What am I feeling for this week? I'm gonna do green. No, I'm gonna stick with gray. What have I done before? I can't remember. I usually do gray or black for the grid, and then for the days of the week. That way, anything that I write out in the middle will kind of stand out. So this week is going to start on Monday. Don't die on me, pen. You're a brand new pen. But the reason I decided to do for myself, for my first ever junk journal, the reason I decided to do a junk journal planner is because with it being the beginning of the year, I almost always buy a new planner at the beginning of the year. And now really nice planners are very expensive. Like the one I bought last year was I think $30 or $35, but I am notorious for not using a planner in its entirety. Usually by sometime in the summer, somewhere around August, if I even make it that far, I just stop using it, and I might use it random days, or weeks, at, toward the end of the year, like if something comes up that's really important and I need to write it down. But for the most part, I really only use it religiously for the first few months of the year, and then it slowly just trickles out after that. And I thought this year, instead of spending all that money, this composition notebook was only like $2. And I already had all of these supplies. Like I had already purchased the scrapbook paper for other projects. So I decided to just keep it simple. And it's worked for me. I still don't write every day like I would like to, but at least I don't have that pressure of, oh my gosh, I spent $30 on this planner. I have to use it every day. It was $2. I can use it when I can get to it. So let me just finish this spread because I'm going to have to go soon. So I'm just putting in the days of the week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's a Godfather quote. I'm not crazy. For anyone who has not seen The Godfather and you're wondering why I don't know the days of the week. Sorry, I can't talk and write at the same time. Otherwise, I'll start either saying what I'm writing, or more often than not, I'll start writing what I'm saying. So just bear with me a second. Okay, and today is Monday, the 27th. I like to just write the numbers off to the side. That 3 kind of ended up being really weird. 9:30, what month is it? January, so there's 31 days. And then Saturday will be February. We're almost to spring, almost there. And then I generally at the top will either write week at a glance or hopefully this is dry. Did I capitalize glance? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I just like to... Yeah, I did. I like the way the capital G looks. There we go. And then what I will do is just add reminders and stuff for the coming week. Wednesday is my aunt's birthday, and it's also Lunar New Year. The 1st or the 2nd is a seasonal pagan holiday, so I'll add some stuff there, some reminders, to do some seasonal journal prompts. And then throughout the week, at the minimum, like I said, I'll write down the daily stoic quote for that day. And if we end up doing something fun, you don't go to Disneyland every day. And especially because of what we've had going on with my health, I don't even leave the house every day. Some days we just go to the playground just to get out of the house, or just go for a walk. And that's fine. It's winter. It's a time to slow down and hibernate. It's a time to prepare for the coming spring, and that's also going to be on my agenda in the coming weeks. I need to decide what planting I want to do. These are actually sunflower seeds that I harvested myself, So I need to decide what I'm going to plant and where I'm going to put it. Was that off screen? I don't know. This is what I was talking about in case it was over here. I have all these seeds that I need to figure out when and where I'm going to put them. So anyways, thank you for tuning in. I hope to be back regularly in some kind of form or fashion. I can't make any promises though, just with having a toddler and having some health things that have come up recently, which I'll get into. I'll explain myself eventually, let you know what's going on. So I can't promise that this is going to be a regular thing. I would like to do maybe at least once a week, but we'll see how that goes. But anyways, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for coming back if you're a returning viewer or subscriber. And if you're new, thank you for stopping by. And anyways, yeah, I hope this inspired you to keep it simple. Sometimes we overthink things that we want to do, and then it turns into a side hustle, and then we get away from why we wanted to do it in the first place. Don't let that happen to you. So just remember, keep it simple. And especially now in this season of winter with, depending on where you are, if you have gotten a lot of snow, you might be feeling a little more isolated. Even where I am, we don't get snow, but it is colder, and the days recently, the last few weeks have been the shortest of the year. So it's been darker and colder, so we haven't gotten out nearly as much. And that's okay. It's a time for, introspection and preparation for the season ahead. It's not a time to be, if you're trying to live in balance and in harmony with nature, it's not a time to be extremely productive and to expect a lot from yourself. That's coming ahead. So just be gracious with yourself, to just embrace the season and to slow down. And anyways, I gotta sign off and go get this toddler who's rolling around in his crib. So thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.